I'm going to cover the marking scheme, and we're going to go through this the crib sheet. The most important thing I think for you guys is really understanding what data gathering, clinical management, and interpersonal skills are about. Really, truly having an understanding of what that means and giving some examples of what that means. And just to remind you that we're not looking for perfection. Sometimes you'll think, oh, that's a complete failure because I forgot to ask about this. We're not that worried unless that was an absolute vital question. All right, and we'll go through some of that. And actually, I don't want you to see, when you're doing your cases, I don't actually want you to think in terms of data gathering, clinical management, and interpersonal skills. I don't actually want you to see yourself in those 3 areas. In fact, what I just want you to see is 2 areas. Interpersonal skills happens throughout, it's the skill that happens throughout. So actually what you should be thinking of just these 2 things: data gathering and interpersonal skills, because they go together, and clinical management and interpersonal skills, because they go together, because interpersonal skills runs throughout the whole consultation. All right, so don't think that, right, I've done my data gathering, I've done my clinical management, and now I'll do my interpersonal skills by being nice. It doesn't work like that. Basically, you have got this crib sheet. This is exactly what the examiners are using. They're not using anything different. They're not using anything more miraculous or anything other than this. And if you satisfy these, all right, if you satisfy these, then you will get through each of these areas. So if you imagine each one has a score of 3, 0 to 3, whereas 0 is a clear fail, 1 is a fail, 2 is a pass, and 3 is a clear pass. This kind of tells you what sort of grade you would get. So you can use this sheet in 2 ways. The first way is obviously just to do a self-analysis of your consultations and mark yourself using this. Don't just think, oh, data gathering was pretty good, clinical management, yeah, I think I was up to scratch, I used nice guidelines, seems really good, and interpersonal skills, yeah, I was a nice guy with her, I think I shall pass that. Don't do that, all right, because you will not know where your bad points are. And the same goes when you're practicing with your trainer. Don't do that. Just get the sheet out and mark the sheet and see how well you do.
When we're marking the cases, we've been using your Bradford VTS marking sheet to go through, as like a base to go through the cases and things like that.
Yeah.
And he's giving me feedback about timing. So I think it's been different everywhere from what I've heard.
Okay. So a couple of things. So one thing from that Merle. So Merle's clearly using a marking sheet. He's using the one from this, the one that I use with my trainee. All right. How many of you are using a marking sheet when you look at it? Or do you just look at it into what I'm saying, a marking sheet? I'm saying you properly mark it against a marking sheet, not data gathering. It's 3 out of 3. Interpersonal skills, I think that's a 1 out of 3. And clinical management, yeah, that's a 2 out of 3. Now, I don't mean that. That's not marking. That's not doing the marking sheet. That's guessing. All right. How many of you actually sit down and mark it according to the marking sheet?
Yep, I use the RCA rating grid.
RCA rating grid.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And does your trainer as well, Stella? Stella, does your trainer do it with you as well?
Yes, we do it together. Yes.
Okay. And what about you, Ian? Are you doing marking it? No. Okay. And so let me just share with you about the marking grid first. And here you should see the RCA marking sheet. Can you see the one I put Bradford VTS? Use the PDF one because then it will always print out right. That's why I've put it in PDF and doc. All right. I only put them as docs so that I can modify them in the future. All right, so this is your RCA marking sheet. And I think for every single one of yours, you should tick these. Now, listen, let's get very, very clear what I'm trying to say. I am not, can you see in data gathering, there's 7 points, and in clinical management, there's 5 points, and in interpersonal skills, there's 6 points. I'm not saying you need to get all 7, all 5, all 6. It doesn't work like that. There are some conditions where safety netting is really not that important. And in other cases, it is.